Welcome back to another episode of Forever True TV. I am your host, the Sweet Queen Kajay. It is January the 7th, 2019. A new year has started. And tonight we are going to go over the information that we seen for the documentary of R. Kelly. I want to first I really want to just let everybody know this, and that is one. I hope that I am not double chatting, but I hear myself, and it's okay. But today we're going to do this. I don't care. We're going to do this. So I am actually live on Facebook, and I'm live on YouTube with a couple of my partners who is rolling with me. If you guys want to be on the panel tonight with us, feel free to roll over to YouTube at Forever True TV. That is the number 4, Ever True TV, and we are going to get started. The reason why you are hearing his music in the background is because we are going to mute R. Kelly. So this was one of my songs that I like, but guess what? After I saw that doggone video, guess what? It's called Mute. He is no longer existing with me. I'm sorry, R. Kelly, but your ass is fired. Okay, so I want to first give some shout outs. I'm not sure if you guys can hear what's going on one end, but let me give some shout outs. I got Sonia Perry online tonight. I have Andre Johnson and Elena online with me tonight. Pamela Fields is with me tonight. Clarissa Williams, hey sis. Ooh, Evangelist Juanita Walker is online. I love you, but this is an adult conversation. So I know I may have some ministers online tonight, but we finna be real. Now we got Michelle online, Beasley, my sister, how you doing? We have Marjorie Keys online. We have Vicky Cartwright online. We have Daryl Allen online. We have Arletta Williams and Denise Higgins online. I want you guys to know, if you want to actually see another live, we are actually live on YouTube. Again, we are live on YouTube under the number 4, Ever True TV. Give me some hearts if you guys can hear me, because I need to know that I can hear you guys and that you guys can hear me. Those are one of the things that I really, truly want to make sure. Della R. Posey, thank you for tuning in again tonight with me, hanging out with me. If you guys can see, I typed it in the messenger. If you guys want to hit me up, feel free to hit me up, Forever True TV. Again, I have 2 shows. I have my Sleep Sisters Live that you actually see all the positive things. And then we have Forever True TV, which you see a little bit of everything. So tonight, again, we have a couple of ladies online that are going to talk about the actual documentaries tonight. And we're not going to name the names. Again, if you guys want to come over to YouTube live, you're more than welcome to come live. But I want to first just say, how are you 2 ladies over here? How y'all doing today?
Wonderful.
I'm doing good. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. So I wanna know, can you guys hear the other person on the other end speaking? They're not in the YouTube, they're not in the actual Facebook video, but they are in the YouTube video. Can you guys, that's on my Facebook, can you hear those young ladies speaking? If you can, please say yes or no. You gotta tell me something, because if you don't tell me nothing, I gotta keep going. And assuming that you do know, and you can hear them. And if not, you wanna hear them, and you want to hear everything that we're talking about, you want to go to YouTube. So again, it's a watch party. You want to go to YouTube. Okay, so now we are going to talk about some things. So Miss, we're going to start with, now I know I have a controller. So, okay, so Pamela, let me see if you can hear them. Everybody say hello.
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 Ask them, can they hear you?
Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear me?
Pamela, can you hear those ladies? Kenya, have them speak. Okay, they're gonna speak. Go ahead and speak and say something.
Can you hear
Hello?
us?
Hello?
Oh,
Happy New Year, everybody.
okay, they're saying hello, happy New Year's.
Oh, so
So I'm not
they can hear?
okay. Sonia says that she can hear them. She can hear you guys.
Okay.
It may be
Oh, okay.
low, but it's only because we're on
Right,
two
and
different
she don't want the echo.
lines.
Okay, that's fine. As long as they can hear us.
Okay, so they said they can hear you. Good, good. Praise God. Praise God. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get started. So we are talking about this big mogul who simply was someone who was raised in the parts of what, South Side Chicago? Is that what it was,
Yep.
girlfriend? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good, good. So, Evangelist Juanita Walker says that she can hear us all. She also, Pamela Fields came back and said Happy New Year's to whoever had said Happy New Year's to her. And she also said, Evangelist says, she can hear all three of us. So let's rock and roll. Kenya Gaddison says that she can hear, so we're going to keep it moving. Now, my main thing is here. You guys don't know we've been having trouble trying to get started since 7 o'clock. So I'm glad y'all rolled with us tonight. And again, if we don't get us live, you guys don't catch us live on Facebook, you will definitely catch us live on YouTube. So I want to get Morgan McMichael. Thank you for joining. I love you. I love you. Happy New Year's, baby. I love you. I'm coming to your area next week. So I'm gonna holler at you because I need to come in and kick it with you. But anyway, so now let's go ahead and get started. So now my question is, I want to hear from you, Miss Jay. I want to hear from you. What do you feel about the actual the documentary? Well, how did you feel about it? Did you watch it? That's the first question I should ask.
Well, so I'm gonna first start off saying that back in the 90s, this is before Robert Kelly, became big. I, remember riding the red line train, which is one of the trains routes in the city of Chicago. I remember sitting on the train going to work, and he was one of the people that would be on the train singing, or you would see him on the platform at the L, or on the street. Sometimes on various spots, he would sit there and sing a cappella. And so I remember witnessing this. He did this for a long time before he got big. Actually, this is how he started his career, which was singing on the corners and on L stations, anywhere where there was a lot of traffic. This is where he was at, and that's actually how he became. That's how he started his singing career. He was singing. And so, but this is before he got big. I never got a chance to, personally speak to him or talk to him, but I did. I was one of the many people that actually witnessed, as well as a lot of other people that are from the South Side, because he is from the South Side of Chicago. At least that's where he was doing a lot of his singing before he got big. So many people remember that. And as I watched the documentary, all parts of it, it took me back to thinking about that. And it was very, I want to say it was a little disturbing to watch. And I want to say this, and this might be a little controversial to a lot of people, but I think it's, I think it's a fact. I believe that we have the Black community. We have a very big problem with accountability. I just think that accountability is an issue in the Black community, as far as people just don't want to be accountable for what they do. And so, the last couple of days since this is aired, even since day one, I've had a chance to look at a lot of a lot of people's posts on social media how they felt. A lot of people blame the parents. A lot of people are shaming the victims, the women that were victimized by him. It's just so many angles to look at this. And so I feel that looking back at it, I think everybody has accountability in this situation. I think everybody has to be held accountable. This the people that were with him, that worked for him, that witnessed this and didn't do nothing about it. Didn't even if it was just, hey man, I can't work for you and you hanging out with underage girls.
Right.
Or the parents that dropped their girls off, knowing that he was way older than, their daughter or whoever. I think everybody, but the thing is that it's a sickening pathology that runs deep in the roots of his, not only just him, it's a whole bunch of Robert Kellys walking around. This is something that's prevalent in the Black community. It's in other communities as well, but we're talking about the Black community as well. Okay. And so it's a sickening pathology that runs deep in his background. And what he experienced growing up is what shaped him to prey on underage girls. Okay, so I really believe that.
Okay, so now let me intervene right quick. So do you feel that he is innocent or guilty?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I say this all the time. If it wasn't something I witnessed, I can't say 400% that he did it. Okay. But I can say from what people, because you have to be careful about what you support, what you don't support. Side note, just like with the whole Bill Cosby thing, I wasn't there. Who's to say that Bill Cosby actually, snuck and drugged women to have sex with them, whatever. Okay. So we can only go based off what. Now let me retract that. Hold on for a second. I will say this, and I'm really ashamed to say this, but this is a open forum, and we're going to be honest. When it comes to the sex tape that was floating around, back in the 90s, long years ago, I did view it when it was on the VHS tape, and you had the people outside selling the tapes and all this and all that. That did look like him on the tape. I'm not gonna lie and say it didn't.
It looked like him on the tape. It did look like him. I actually went to go and look at the tape myself. It is I had to be totally honest. I'm sorry, but I didn't know all this stuff was going on with. So please forgive me if it seemed like it's like, okay, you should have been knowing all this here stuff, Angelique. I did not actually know this kind of stuff. So with that being said, I was kind of like, where was I when all this was going on? I know Alea was out. I liked Alea's music. I think I was living in Reno around that time, if I'm not mistaken. But I didn't know that, I wasn't into the news and politics and listening to the gospel. Gossip on these different radio stations. I wasn't into that. So my thing was just listen to the music and enjoy yourself. That's all I was about. Just listening to the good music. I didn't try to find out the background of the music, what it really was about. And
and that's the thing, when the tape was floating around years ago, I remember back then people was like, did you see that sex tape? Did you see that tape? And this, that, another. He urinated in that girl mouth and this, that, another. Yeah. And, I'm in my 40s. So back, you going back 20 some years. And I'm just like, oh, wow, that's disgusting. Blah, 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 blah. And so it's like, was it him? Was it not him? Was it him? That was the big debate as far as because it wasn't like it was like crystal clear and we're looking at 4K. Like modern technology was advanced 20 some years ago, because it wasn't. So it wasn't like we saw a crystal clear picture where, oh yeah, that's him. When you saw the tape, yeah, that did look like him. And so, you have to say, okay, yeah, well, I do believe, and I'm gonna say this too, I watched his brother, not the one that's in jail, but the other brother, did an
Okay.
interview on YouTube with one of the journalists that was on one of the documentaries. And his
Okay, one
brother,
moment, one moment. So I just want to know everybody that is on my again, we are live on YouTube at Forever True TV. If you are tuning in with us on Facebook, please make sure that you let us know when you come in that you can hear the young ladies that are talking tonight because it's not just me. We are live again on YouTube under Forever True TV. But we're just trying to make sure that everybody from Twitter to Periscope to Instagram as well as YouTube. They need to hear what is going on about muting R. Kelly and his music. Now, go ahead and continue to what you were saying. Please let us. Oh, and before we continue, Thomas Daniels, Kenya Murray, Kim Bradshaw, Aspen Maiden, Tony, Isabella, Marcia Jackson, Clifton, and Jerome. Thank you for tuning in with the rest of us. We are talking about R. Kelly and the review about the documentary and if we feel that if he's guilty or if he's innocent and what we can do. So I just want to make sure that even though you can hear me, can you hear the young ladies that are speaking? Okay, go ahead and continue. We're talking about the brother.
so the brother did an interview with one of the journalists that was actually on the documentary. I don't remember her name, but the brother, it was very disturbing to even sit there and listen to him talk about how him and Robert were molested by their older sister Teresa. It was so hard to watch that because he was in tears talking about the things that their oldest, because it's three boys and one girl, and how their oldest sister molested them when they were little. I think he said the sister might have been, if I now don't quote me, but I believe he said she was either 6 to 9 years older than them. And so that there to me, told me, well, this is, usually when you dealing with people that are pedophiles, this is some type of behavior that they have because of what was done to them. So that's
Exactly.
why I said he is who he is because of what he lived and experienced growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and his addiction to uh sex and having underage girls. That had a lot to do with what was done to him. And it's not an excuse, but it's the truth. He was
Yes.
molested. So what did he go? What does he do? He goes to molest other girls. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't feel like throwing him away, throwing him under the jail and forgetting about him is gonna uh I don't think that's the only answer. I think that he needs a serious intervention. But first he has to
Admit
recognize
it.
that he
He
has
has
a
to first admit
problem.
it. He has to admit it and recognize that he has a
Because
problem.
he's still not admitting it. But my mother used to tell me all the time, everybody not gonna tell the same lie.
Right.
So everybody
That's
can't
what
be
my mama
lying.
never used to tell me.
No,
She
everybody
said,
can't be lying.
if
Now it
now
might be a
one
few
person
people.
comes, one person come in and tell you that hey, I saw your daughter at the store, and you come home and your mama say, were you at the store? If I told you don't go to the store, and then I say, no, mommy, I was at the store. I say, okay, she'll say, okay, that's fine. Then the next person come in and say, I saw your daughter at the store. Now I'm gonna give you a prime example. When I was about maybe 17 years old, I was smoking a cigarette. And my auntie drove by and I hurried up and threw the cigarette out and just was walking real fast. And so it wasn't just my auntie that saw me smoking a cigarette, but a couple of my mother's friends had saw me smoking a cigarette. So my mama said to me, were you smoking a cigarette today? And I said, no, I was said, well, your auntie said she saw you smoking a cigarette. She said she didn't actually see the cigarette in your hand. She said, but she saw the smoke coming out your mouth. And then another person came over and was like, girl, I saw your daughter out there smoking a cigarette today. She smoked cigarettes. And my mama said, well, she told me she wasn't smoking cigarettes. So she asked me again. I said, mommy, I was not smoking cigarettes. She said, well, this one says she actually saw the smoke coming out your mouth and you put the cigarette up to your mouth to inhale. So which one is it? Were you smoking and you're not? Because everybody can't lie and say you're smoking and you sit up here saying you didn't
Well,
smoke.
yeah,
Right?
everybody's not gonna tell the everybody's not gonna tell the same lie. So,
Right.
I feel like, like I said, I wasn't there, but I do feel like it was some inappropriate, behavior that, he participated in.
Okay.
And, the sad thing about it is that if anybody watched the documentary,
Meet and
Sparkle
greet.
talked
Thank you
about
for
how
uh-huh.
she introduced her niece
Her
to him, and
niece.
I couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
That's what I couldn't find any logic in that. I didn't understand it at all. And
Okay, so
then she also said that the girl in the tape looked like it could have been her niece. So, it's just the whole
okay,
situation is sad.
it is.
It's just
It is.
people say, well, and this is the thing, people say, well, why didn't people come forward 30 some years ago, 20 some years ago when he was going to court? And
Mm,
see, the thing is that, a lot of people, the world judges you
right.
and nobody takes you serious. People think you lying, or they just want to be relevant, blah, 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 blah. And that's why a lot of victims remain silent for years because of the fear of how society will react towards what they said, family,
Well,
friends, and that's the problem.
okay, well, that goes to show how media has a lot of pull in their respect to persuade or sway people's thoughts. So, but before I go further, I want to let you know, Pamela Fields says that she says my best friend still have the tape on VHS. Wow, that was a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
I even have VHS.
Wow.
My VHS is sitting in the in the storage. She also states that she said hurt people, and then she says I feel he is part of the problem, but not the whole problem. That's her opinion. Remember, today everybody has their own
Oh yeah,
opinion.
but I agree with her. He's not the whole problem. He's part of the problem. Like I said, accountability is an issue in the Black community because we don't want to take accountability for nothing. All those people that were around him, that whole entourage, he had the staff, the bodyguards, the people in the studio. They all those people that sat there and witnessed him picking up young girls and taking them back to the studio, and nobody said nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody said a word. Nobody, and the thing is, that just shows how money, rules. People make money their God. Just
Mm-hmm.
like I believe to this day, the reason why he never went to jail when it first came out was because that girl and her family denied it was her on that tape. And don't think for a second that they wasn't paid. They
Right.
was paid. I really do believe that. When they say money talks, money
Uh-huh.
talks. I'm gonna pay you to keep quiet.
Oh
And
yes.
you understand? Instead of saying no, we're gonna tell the truth because this was wrong and you need to go to jail. I mean, that's to urinate in somebody's mouth.
Yes,
That,
yes. That was
or
just
anything, even if it wasn't that, just
mhm.
to have any kind of sexual contact or anything sexual with a minor,
But
it's
mine.
just sickening.
Now
I
this
mean,
is
you have a
something.
serious problem.
Okay, I Miss J. I know you getting it. You seem like you seem like this is really something that really bothers you, and
Well,
of course you're
it's not that it bothers me. It's just that it's so many people. I've looked at so many posts of people that, and it's really disgusting when you think about it. How people still, they're comparing decision making between teenagers and an adult,
right.
and that's what's so disgusting because even though 14 and 15, I got a 15-year-old niece. Yeah, she knows right or wrong, but I wouldn't bet my life that I wouldn't trust her to make adult life changing decisions because she's
Okay, give
still a
us some hearts,
teenager.
you guys. Give us some hearts. She is doing wonderful, expressing her feelings and her thoughts on
I
this
mean,
situation.
you can't expect teenagers to make adult life changing decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. That's the same. It's the same as if when a teenager decides that they want to lose their virginity. That's life changing for them.
Okay.
So I'm more. It was disturbing to me to see so many people on social media that
Mm-hmm.
actually made comments like, "Well, They knew what they was doing. They knew it was wrong to be sleeping with a grown man and this, that, and other. But where's the accountability in the grown man that knew he shouldn't have been fooling around with no minor?
Right. So let me just go ahead and read you a couple of posts right quick. We have one that we have somebody named Angel Hernandez. She says, I watched it all day and she's still trying to digest it. It's hard for her. We have also John Paul Mackey. He says there are way too many women and girls that came forward, in parentheses, as well as a tape for me to believe he's innocent. So in general, John Paul Mackey, he's saying he believes that he is definitely guilty. And so I came back and let him know. I said, well, make sure you watch the live video for tonight. And then we can also go over some things if he chooses to. Evelina, she says he's absolutely, Evelina, yeah, she says he's absolutely guilty. She feels he's guilty. We have Leslie D. May. She says she refused to watch it. I asked her why. She said because it's pure trash and triggers. Well, I want to know what triggers is. Why do you think they come around in full circle about this again? So my question is why do you think they have brought this up after 25 years and not why after 25 years they decide to bring this up? What made them want to bring it up now?
That's something that I don't know. And the only thing I can say is, people that remain silent for years, maybe after, I've never, thank God, I've never experienced something like that where I've
Mars
carried or held
mm-hmm.
or held a dark secret for 20 some years and I come out. So the only thing I can think of is that maybe they got tired of holding a secret and they decided to come out, or maybe it could have been they got in touch with other people that had the similar experience that they had. We don't know that. But what we do know is that this is something that's prevalent in the Black community. It's not just R. Kelly. It's a lot more R. Kellys around here. Mm-hmm. And I think moving forward, as mothers, as leaders, as people that are for the village, we have to do a better job at protecting our babies, our kids. We have to start educating our kids. I have kids myself. They're little. I talk to them all the time. If anybody touches you inappropriately, whatever, you let me know. We have to start protecting our kids more and just making them more aware of what's going on in the world. Okay, and
okay, so Michelle says I'd be interested in hearing about the relationship between power and privilege in this situation.
Well,
because I feel like he has power. No, because now.
Let me tell you something. When you talk about power, if you look at power, power let me tell you something. that has a lot to do with money. When you got the money, you got the power. We all know that from the person that's sitting in the office right now. When you got the dollars, you got the power. Just like I said, whoever the girl was in that video, her family, he paid them off. That's why they denied that was her in that video. That's why nobody never came forward and said, hey, that is my daughter in that video. Yeah, lock his behind up. They got paid off. So you got the money. You sometimes, and it's bad. I'm not gonna say it's the right thing to do, but people will shut up for money. They will be quiet. They won't say a word.
Yes, I believe it. I believe it. They will be quiet and allow stuff to continue to rock. So Kenya says, Kenya Murray, she says, his is definitely wrong. Okay, so she's trying to say he's definitely wrong for his actions, but all should be held accountable for their actions or lack of acting and standing up for these
Absolutely.
girls. She says
Absolutely.
they were several who are guilty parties in this situation of failing these girls. The enablers,
Absolutely.
parental neglect, and those who had blinders on. So now I'm going to talk. Let me just say something. My thing was this here. When I was watching those parents online, on the documentary, she said she took her daughter to go and see a concert. He picked her daughter and took her in the back, and come to find out she had sex that day with him at this concert, or right after this concert. My concern was, after you knew what happened with Alea, what made you still want to get your daughters up in there to get a performance? I would have simply went to another artist and try to work with another artist. I feel that it's all through the musical industry. The music industry is a demonic industry. I've had sisters and brothers who are a part of it, who've been in it. They walked away from it because they know how it is. The Illuminati is real. And so I know I jumped from asking the question, went from a statement to asking a question and going back to a statement. But my main thing is this: all of those people that right now are doing hashtag mute R. Kelly, including all those artists, my one question to you is, do you think that the Illuminati is getting ready to start attacking them too? For instance, John Lennon, he spoke against him. You got Kerry Washington, who was the major, gunning role for Scandals. I love Scandals, and to me, Scandals tells what really be going on in that doggone White House. Now, my thing is this: do you think that now that the exposure has come out about R. Kelly 25 years later again, and you got other artists that are actually speaking against them, do you think the Illuminati is getting ready to come after them now?
I don't know. I won't touch on that subject. I don't know about that.
I already said, I said he gonna start.
I don't dip in that I don't dip in that sauce.
She said she won't dip in that sauce. Well, I'm not afraid to dip in it, and I feel that because something he has done, he has made somebody mad in that higher up of the Illuminatis, and now they're getting ready to let his tail go. And once they let you go, you are completely washed up. I'm not saying death is going to come upon him, but I really do feel that something is going to happen in the music career. I can't remember.
But let me say this here: he can't go to jail based on the charges that he had
that would
before,
be
because
double
that's double
jeopardy.
jeopardy.
That would be double jeopardy.
So they have to find new charges to send him to jail on. So, but like I said again, that's not going to solve the problem that is prevalent in the Black community, which is people are getting molested, and they display that same behavior when they get older. Something has to be. Maybe if he had got some help, I don't know if the mama knew about it. I don't know, because the brother didn't. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I ain't watched the whole thing, because the interview. It was disturbing to watch, because he was in tears. He was crying. But
where was he crying? Who was crying?
when the brother did the interview with the lady about, and talked about, because see, R. Kelly had said before he was molested, he wouldn't say by who. So the brother went and had an interview and said who it was by. And so, maybe if that was something that he had dealt with as when he was younger, maybe he wouldn't went in the direction that he went. Because I think the stuff that he did was what was done to him. And if you listen to the interview, his brother talked about how they would be on punishment, and the sister would, call him in the room. She was the older sister, the older sibling, and she would make him come in her bedroom, and she would be naked with a robe on, and she would take their hand and make her and put their hand on her private parts.
Wow.
And she did a lot of. It was very disturbing. It was hard to listen to that, and he was in tears. It was so hard, and I felt, and my heart went out to him. And when you think about it and listen, and then you sit there and you listen to the documentary, and it was and also I'm gonna say this too. There
Thank you,
is
Christopher. in. Rebecca Coleman and Crystal Raquel, thanks for joining in with us. Belinda, thanks for
But
joining in with us.
for those that don't know, if there is a 95-page book that's online
Mm-hmm.
from a victim of R. Kelly. Now, the
Right.
woman who wrote the book or wrote this
We
story
also
up,
caught herpes from him.
she doesn't give her name. It's been speculation about who it is, but we don't know who it is. But
Mm-hmm.
in the book, I read the book a couple of weeks ago, and that, like I said, that was kind of disturbing to watch too. It was almost, I almost felt like I was reading a sex novel because she was very detailed
Uh-huh.
in some of the
Do you know the name of the book?
sexual. It's called Sex Tape. I think that was the name of it. I gotta
So the
look.
name of the book is called Sex
Wait,
Tape.
wait, wait, wait. Don't quote me on that. I gotta look. But I think
She
it's.
said, no, don't quote me.
Wait a minute. I think it's. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Sex Tape. I have to look though. But she talked about, you know, how she lied and told me she was 20 when she was only 16. And
Mm-hmm.
then she talked about she talked about the sexual acts that he performed on her. She talked about how he brought a man into, basically in her words, he was bi. She witnessed him getting, having sex with a man.
Well,
And then what
Kenya
was even
Moray,
more
go
what
ahead.
was even more interesting was that she even mentioned how a couple of his bodyguards or people that were close to him, he actually allowed to have sex with her. So
Okay.
the
Oh,
book was 95.
wait. You said that he allowed the bodyguards to even have sex with her too?
I think
Okay.
one of the people that she said was a bodyguard.
Okay, so this is my thing. If that's the case, then somebody lying because remember they were all saying that they could not speak or talk to each other. They could not entwine with each other. And if when another man would come in, they had to face the wall. So who's doing some of that lying? Or I guess maybe it happened prior to, or maybe I don't know. But I mean, they all saying one thing, and then now you're saying in the book. Now, Kenya Moray said that the book was too sexually explicit.
It was. I just told you it was like reading. It was really like reading
Go ahead.
a sex novel. It really was.
Uh,
I mean, she gave details and everything. Like I thought I was reading like a sexual fiction, novel. That's what I thought. That's what I felt like when I was reading it.
right. So I want to say thank you, Sheila Hightower and Crystal Leslie. Those are two of my girls. Thank you for coming on and chilling with us tonight. We are talking about the R. Kelly documentary as far as the sex tape. We have a young lady that is born and raised in this in Chicago, and without no names being spelled out, but we have a couple of women that are out there, and they used to see him out there before he got big. He'd be out there doing his thing, and she would be riding, I guess, on the train, and she would see him out there. But Crystal says that her daughter confirmed it. So, Crystal, I need you to elaborate when you say his daughter confirmed. Confirmed what? What did he confirm? So we want to know. Booby, thank you for tuning in. Jeannie, thank you for tuning in. Robert, I want to just let you guys hear. We have a Chardonnay Anderson. She says it's not that I don't believe these things happen. It's how does these things happen? Why didn't the parents do more? Was there money exchanged? Remember the times it wasn't pretty. Parents sold their children for real back then. It was called rock, crack. Did he do some things? Probably. Sad, isn't it, to see us discuss another black male's dismissal, not other distinguished, affluent white males. So she was specifically saying it is sad that we are dealing with this here, and the fact that it's another black male that's involved. When it's bad enough they already look at us as animals, and and to see what he did on a video. I mean, come on.
But the only thing that makes him different is that he's an R&B artist. I mean,
Yes.
it's a whole bunch of Robert Kellys in a lot of these families. That's the only thing is that he sold millions of records and, he's labeled a king of R&B, blah, 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 blah. But it's no different than some of these other families that I kind of hush about it. That's why I said we have a serious accountability issue in the Black community because people don't nobody want to take accountability for nothing. No accountability wants to be taken for people in the Black community. And I just feel like all those people that were with him, his big entourage, his bodyguards, his friends, people do what people support. So you standing around and you watching them bring young girls in the studio, and according to some people, it was a bed in there, and you just don't turn your head to it. You just as guilty as him.
Just as guilty as
you
them.
might as well have joined in and fucked the girl that he fucked. Excuse my French, but I'm just keeping it. I'm just keeping it real because
just keep it real. It's all
because I just feel like that's what's more upsetting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Birds of a feather flock together. I'm not gonna hang with a thief unless I condone you stealing. Then I might as well steal with you.
That's right.
Maybe he wouldn't have been. Maybe if he wouldn't have had so many people. So, because I feel like this: if I hang with a thief, I support you as a thief. I feel like those people that were with him all the time that didn't say nothing.
Give her some heart. She is doing so good.
They supported him. You supported him because you didn't say nothing. So you just as bad as him.
And then I had to. So let me.
It ain't just the parents. It ain't the parents. It's the people that was with him as well.
But the parents they had enough. They should. Okay, there's no way I'm going to go 3 years without seeing my child. I will, just like that lady eventually said towards the end. She said, I will get his head. His head is mine. And she said, I will go to jail. I've been to jail before. I don't mind going back to jail. Okay. My child, I don't have any children, but I do have nieces and nephews. It may not be the same, but I love them as my own children. And you best believe I will go hell and hot water for them.
Well, those
and
girls.
There's no way that I'm going to go 3 years without seeing my daughter, regardless
here's the thing.
With the brainwashing and the whole 9 yards. And then not only that, because he had friends in the Chicago Police Department, that I feel, again, he was privileged with power, just like Michelle was saying. There was power and privilege. Chicago ain't no joke because they're already well known for drug trafficking, human trafficking, and organ trafficking. Those are some main things that are out there in Chicago. And that's why I say to myself and say to other people, there's no way his tail should have been getting away with that 25 years ago, let alone still getting away with it now. If they're coming out right now,
I don't think he's getting away with it now because your sins will catch up with you. What you plant is what you'll harvest. So people sit and say, why 30 years later? It's a time for everything. You read your Bible to tell you that. So it's the reason why all this stuff is coming out now. Now, the big mystery question is, what is going to happen to him? Is this going to ruin his reputation, his image? Is he going to go to jail? We don't know. We just have to see how the cards play out. But at the end of the day, everybody that was with him that either turned a blind eye to that.
Some type of they all need to go to court and get fined with something, even if it was a hit with a big fine, or make them go. You know what? I would put them in the jailhouse with some straight men that just ain't no joke. Will just tear their tails holes up. Just put them in that one room for however many years that they actually was out there. He already wanted. That's just like that lady had said. Well, it wasn't a lady, it was a man. He was in dark and shaded, and he started crying. And respect, I think he even was having sex with R. Kelly, and that's the reason why he allowed a lot of this stuff to continue to go on. Because the way he was saying that he knew that his staff was involved. He knew that how can you sit there and tell me that he had a trainer, a woman that was in there to train the women on how to act? How can you sit there and say you had a recruiter, someone that would go out and recruit these women? That's pimping and pampering to me. That's just straight up just saying, I got
Well,
you not only
if
a
you
coach,
think
but a
about it, he
whole
was a
straw.
pimp.
Huh?
I mean, the young lady in the documentary said that he told them to go out and get girls. I mean, they
Yeah.
didn't know that that's what that was for, but I mean, he was a
Okay,
pimp
wait a minute.
slash
Now,
R&B artist. So I
I
mean, when
believe
you
that
have
they knew what it
money,
was for.
that's the thing. When you have millions and millions of dollars, the one thing that everybody craves, and I use crave for a lack
Oh,
of
for
a
me
better
to have
word,
to drink.
but
Uh,
people are in dire need of money, and
mhm.
that's just the truth. It
Okay.
don't matter what race you are,
So,
what your culture is, what side of the world you from.
okay.
Everybody desires to have money to do the things they want to do. So
Okay.
when you're in a position where you could pay people $10,000, $20,000, I'm just using as an example, to go do this and do that, people will do it. Because
Okay.
at that time, people are just trying to survive.
Well,
That's
I
all it
understand.
is. And I'm just saying this is the mindset. I'm just imagining this is the mindset of a lot of people that went along with it and knew it was wrong but didn't say nothing.
Okay.
That's the mindset of people. Well, hell, if he gonna pay me $20 to keep my mouth closed and turn my head, $20,000, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna turn
Oh,
my head. And I'm
oh,
gonna act like I ain't see nothing.
no, I'm a
I'm gonna
mandated
act like I
supporter,
ain't look,
and I'm
look,
gonna tell it like it is.
Angelique. I'm gonna
Yeah.
act like I ain't just see him walking in the studio with this 12-year-old girl that ain't got no breasts, that
Yeah.
ain't even developed,
Ain't
that
developed.
looks. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna act like
Oh
I ain't
my
just see
God.
that.
And when,
Yeah,
okay, so,
I'm just using it as an example though. But this is how when they say you can pat money, influences people. This is
yeah,
the mindset of those that were around him every day that saw all these underage girls in his studio or whatever and
yeah,
turned their head.
exactly. All of them
And
were turning.
back in the 90s, I was from the 90s. Back in the
Yeah,
90s, $5,000 and $10,000 was a lot of money. It may
that's
not be a
true.
lot now, but back then the cost of living was
Shit,
lower.
five
It
and
was
10,000 is
cheaper.
still alive for me. You better ask somebody.
But I'm just
Give
saying,
me ten
back then,
thousand right now. I'll show you what I can do with my 10,000.
look, Facebook could tell you back in the 90s, $10,000 was a lot of money back then.
But it was.
The
It really
cost of
was. It
living
really was.
The
Yeah.
cost of living,
It
well,
was
I'm
go
just using
go.
that as an example.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he did this, but the point I'm trying to prove is a lot of that had to do with people was being paid. And
Yeah.
back then, that money is something that a lot of people crave because you need money to survive in this world. And
Okay.
sometimes people will turn their heads to something that is unethical, unmoral, inhumane. They'll
Yes.
turn their head
Thanks for the
just to
hearts,
get
you
that
guys. Thanks for the hearts.
that money.
Okay, so wait a minute now. I want to read a couple of people who are spilling out on Facebook. Crystal says that his daughter was one of the people who actually confirmed that this was actually going on. And it was a telephone call with the daughter and the mom, ex-boyfriend. She's telling the ex-boyfriend how her mom is lying. So I'm not sure about that. And if that's the case, are you talking about Andrea Kelly is lying or is R. Kelly lying? So Melvin is online with us. Claudel is online with us. Thank you so much. Kenya Moran says, I think her name was Geronda or something like that. She's the one that wrote the book, The Girl Who Followed the Trial. Um, Larry Brooks has joined us tonight, and I thank you, Larry Brooks, for joining us. Sherelle has joined us, and Erica has joined us. Sheila Hightower says, the wife, I believe she knew for years, but money kept her on hush. Why she didn't say something then when it was happening? Why now, 20 years later after the fact? Now, before you answer, I want to say something. Now, to that, because I got to answer that. That's a good question because 20 years ago, she was involved. She knew what was going on. I remember her saying that she held her baby in her hand, and then her husband, she saw her husband go across the doggone freaking screen arrested with handcuffs on, and she almost she dropped the baby, and whoever was with her had to catch the baby. That right there should have told me to leave. When she said there was an interview that she did on, I think on the View or another TV show, and I'll bring it up on our next series, because this is going to be like a 3-part series for us, since it was a 6-part series on him. So the fact is that she brought up something in there. She said that she tried to commit suicide in the midst of it all, and that R. Kelly almost killed her in the back of a Range Rover. So, oh no, a Hummer. So now every time she sees a Hummer, she's like almost shell shocked, but we call it PTSD. So with that being said, again, she says the wife knew for years, but money kept her hush. Now, that's only her opinion. Now, I'm not saying that money didn't keep her hush, but I can't say that she knew what was going on 25 years ago and she could have walked away. But instead, she stood in that relationship and she wound up having 2 more children. So there was a reason behind her really wanting to stick behind her man. And what do you feel about that?
What do I feel about
The fact that his wife possibly knew what was going on, and now she's deciding to come out instead of 20 years ago?
I mean, you have to think about. People, women being manipulated, brainwashed.
Mm.
I mean, I remember when she was on Hollywood Exes, and she cried the entire season. Like
Mm-hmm.
all she did was cry when she said that she was the ex-wife of R. Kelly, and she cried a lot. I just think that as a woman, I think we all make poor choices and decisions sometimes when it comes to relationships. I believe that I don't feel like R. Kelly is just like this big evil monster. I do feel like it's a good side to him.
Yes.
And maybe that was a side. And sometimes as a woman, we do kind of still hold on to that good side that we see. And we think that, okay, maybe they'll change. Maybe I can get that side back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might have been the case, but in addition to the lifestyle, of course, lifestyle probably influenced a lot of why she stayed. But I really think a big part of her really loved him, the good part of him.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Right.
is,
Right.
so I'm not going to look at her and say, oh, well, because, a lot of the backlash was if he was this horrible, why she still got his name? Well, that's what she was known by.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea Kelly, and she has
Right.
3 kids by him. A
Right.
lot of women will keep the name because they had kids by the man. That's
Right.
just something that's common. So I
Right.
don't even fault her for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy to be on the outside and say all these things about somebody until you walked in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the girl that wrote that book, who remained anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
she even talked about how she learned they were close. He told a lot of his secrets to her. She talked about how it was a lot of good in him, things he shared, and that may be the same way for his wife. You
Right.
know, sometimes we do tend to stay with what we're familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
and versus trying to leave and go out to something different. And I think she stayed with him as long as she stayed was because she fell in love with the good side of him, and she felt like, and I can say this,
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a relationship before where, it was toxic, and I
Mm-hmm.
stayed for a while because all I kept holding on to was, well, they weren't like this in the beginning. I know it's some good to them. And you tend to hold on to that good side of that guy, and you stay and you deal with the abuse for a while until you get tired of it and you leave. And so
Uh-huh.
I think that's the same case with her. I do believe that she was hurt, manipulated, probably brainwashed, all of that. They even said that he isolated her from her own family. So you have to look at the kind of control that he had on. But a lot of that goes back to low self-esteem. And this is a side note. This is why I feel like this is something that we need to instill in our kids. When
Yeah.
you have low self-esteem, you'll settle for nothing. You'll
Yeah.
settle for the scum on the bottom of a shoe because
Okay.
you don't feel good about yourself. So I
Okay.
feel like she stayed all those years because one, she had kids. I mean, who really want to raise kids on their own? And
Mm-hmm.
number two, a lot of that had to do with low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I feel like instead of people bashing her, we need to uplift her.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
Okay, okay. So we have Pauline Moore. She said, hell, this young guy I once knew wanted to be with me. He was 17 and I was 25. But as an adult, I said no. Holla at me when you grown and out of high school. Why? Because it was wrong and she didn't want to go to jail. So I understand that because I mean I think that everybody has tried something, and that's over exaggerating. Many people have tried to date older or younger, regardless of whichever way it went, men and women, including myself. But because of my history in my life, I did not like to be around older men. And my mama always used to tell me when she had company and stuff, you know, my mama used to say, no, you going in that room. There's too many men up in here. You know what I'm saying? I had a Coke bottle shape. It was like, no, go in the room. You know what I'm saying? With all your friends, go in the room. The kids was always sent in the room. You wasn't in the adult's face when we were growing up. And we always had something to do every time that happened. For someone to, you know, when I turned, you know, 16, 17, and 18 years old, yes, I had my little male friends that I was out with. There was something that stuck with me since I was 13 years old, regardless of what I did afterwards. But there was something my daddy said to me. We were living in Vallejo at 825 Fulton Avenue. And I stood in the bathroom, just standing in the bathroom. And my daddy looked at me and said, baby, don't depend on no man. He said, don't even depend on me because I am a man. He said, never depend on a man. Always depend on yourself. Well, that right there let me know that you have to be able to do for yourself before you can even do for others. That's the first thing. And regardless of your self-esteem, they can beat you down in the whole 9 yards. Trust me, I have been to a low point in my life, but I stepped up out of that low point, not going to no therapy or anything, but it was me saying, I don't need you. There was one gentleman that I was 13 years old, and he was already going on 18 years old. And it was like, I was just so madly in love with him. I really wanted to be with him. But you know what happened? I decided that it was time for me to leave. But when I tried to leave, he still was coming back. And that mindset in your mind keeps saying, I love this man. I love this man. This is who I want to be with. This is going to be my baby's daddy. This is going to be my husband one day. So the way we were raised as if you're with this person, you stay with this person. But at the same time, we were also raised, you don't give up the oochie coochie until you're married. So you have these conflicts going on with these children that are being raised. And when I say that, because the children that were in these families who decided to go to these R. Kelly concerts, where were their parents? They, especially if they were raised in I know their grandparents and parents were in church, at least had to be the way that they were actually, you know, saying, we want our daughter, we're worried about our daughter, we're concerned about our daughter. If you're so worried and concerned about our daughter, you're calling and getting a wellness check. But the fact is this, let me go and disappear for one day, not 2 days, but one day. My daddy would send out an APB through the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, the police department, the ambulance, the fire department. He would go through all the hell and hot water to find his daughter. And trust me, let me tell you another story. When they had the earthquake here, when we had the big earthquake and the whole Bay Bridge went down and the Cypress Bridge went down. Well, where was I? I was in Stockton. I was out having fun, just chilling, not doing anything. And I hadn't been talking and communicating with my family for weeks. And so I didn't even know that there was an earthquake. And the reason why I didn't know, because I didn't tune into the news. I didn't tune in. Again, I was just all about hip hop, popping this music and getting on and doing what I had to do. To make the long story short, you know what my daddy did? My daddy would send checks. He literally would send a check to the address that I had for me to get the check and cash it. That's how he knew that I was okay when he didn't hear from me for a long time. And it wasn't that I was in trouble. It's just I was just out doing my own thing. I call every blue moon, but sometimes it would take a long time. And when it happened to have this earthquake, it took over 3 weeks. And they didn't know if my body was under any of that debris or anything. But because he sent a check and I cashed the check, not even knowing that there was an earthquake, he said he knew his daughter was okay. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you got to go to the extreme and do certain things to find out if your kids is truly okay. And just to call the police wasn't enough for me. Just to bring the police and they turn around and say, well, there's nothing that we can do. Hell to the no. There was something that they could have did. If they would have, you know what? It's all you got to do is just say, you know what? I think my daughter is dead up in there. They gonna send somebody up in there. But instead of them saying, we want to just do a wellness check because we heard from her, we haven't heard from her. No. I think she's dead up in there. Can somebody please go and get somebody to go up in there? But because you know, all the mess that was going on, maybe because of the power and the privilege, you know what I'm saying? I feel that, you know, it's a bum deal. So we got about maybe 10 or 15 more minutes left, and then we're going to go ahead and close out. But I want to finish kind of adding some things. Sheila Hightower, she says the girl said they saw the wife in the house. Yeah, they did say that. And then the girl said they said, and why nobody knew about her, why she never made herself known. And then Sheila also says, I feel like she knew he was sleeping with those girls in the same house. Of course she knew, because remember, eventually she started having to go in the room and stay in the room. And remember that one girl who said she was sitting on the couch and she came out, his wife came out and said she wanted to get something to eat. And when she heard that, she was like, oh no, not me. And then she went on and fled the scene from there. But I want to scroll down a little bit more. We got a couple of more people that I just want to kind of mention out to, such as, let me just go ahead and, Sheila Hightower mentioned this on our original post. She says, Anthony Keys, I believe that R. Kelly is crazy and suffers from mental illness for messing around with that baby and grooming her into his sex slave. Her parents had to be crackheads and only cared about getting high, other than their child with a predator. That reminds me of when a child tells their mom, your boyfriend touched me, or the family member molesting a child for years, and the mom don't even believe them. But in this case, it was all consensual sex. She don't know, from everyone, including the parents and the girls. There wasn't no resisting. Hell, not even from his wife. She was getting beat on. All they cared about was the money. I was in a domestic violence relationship. Eventually, I called the police and I put him in jail once I had to stab him. I know what you mean, girl. I done been there. I had to stab out. I got you. She says that she had to call the police, and she knew that she was going on. She had to go on, and should have saved those women just off some woman-to-woman talk. She's just saying this is just some woman-to-woman talk, and she doesn't believe the wife didn't know something. And she also just states that whatever they are expecting to happen to R. Kelly now should have been happened with the same intent when it was happening. But nobody showed restraints, values, or morals. All everybody pretty much saw at the time was money and lust. Nobody was drugged. Everybody wanted to do it. Because when growing up in a neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods, we dated one another. Now that is true. When we grew up in the same neighborhood, all of us, we were all kind of dating one another. You used to date, well, he was no good, blah, blah, blah. But then we had this also, we also had this rule. Don't date my man, because I may decide to go back. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Don't date my man, because I may decide to go back. And then anyway, you getting second. That's how we used to be. So she says that she was dating guys age and much older, and it was the norm and common in those days when they were growing up. And in fact, she's still dating one for 27 years. Kudos to you. But yes, Miss J did say back in those days, it was common for women to date, as well as men to date older women and older men, or younger women and younger men. So Kenya says the 14-year-old girl's dad is his guitarist, and they got paid. Oh, listen to this. The 14-year-old girl's dad is his guitarist, and he got paid. The 14-year-old girl is now a young woman in her 30s and still lives with him to this day. Wow. That is some heavy, heavy stuff. That's some heavy stuff. Morgan Van Hook says, I was saying the same thing. This is definitely demonic, exactly what the Illuminati is all about. Angelique Keys, we must be sisters in the spirit, great minds, praying for the hearts and minds of all the victims and the healing and deliverance of Robert S. Kelly. Robert S. Kelly, yeah. It's completely demonic for him to have gotten away with it for so long. That is what the Illuminati is about. Satanic influence over the music industry. Lucifer, the angel of light, God's first minister of music. Amen to that. So I'm going to read two more, and then we're going to be done for tonight. The second one would be Wanda Starling. He says, guilty as sin. He need counseling. The parents got paid. Said, there's no way would I leave my daughters in R. Kelly care. Even though my daughter can sing, I will refuse to take $250,000 for my daughter. There's no way I will go without seeing my daughter for 9 years. My family will not go for that. I do not care if you, a pedophile with many demons, with the parents play a big part in into and his staff. It says he should be charged with abuse, mental scared those girls, treat them like sex slaves. What mother will hand her 14-year-old child to R. Kelly for a record deal, which never did happen? When I saw what he did to Alea, 15, that tell me this man happened to have serious problems. A pedophile, my family will never let this happen. Too many men who do not play. And she said, I say no more. So that was a long one. In all respect, we would have to break that down on the next on part 2. So tune in with us on part 2. We're most likely going to be up on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Again, we had a wonderful, wonderful show. Prayerfully, we'll still get Miss J to come on back in, because it's almost like we want other people to come in on the actual panel besides us. We're me, her, and another young lady, Miss C. We're pretty much one of the lead panel people that work with Forever True TV. And with that being said, we want to get other women who have something to say, or other men who have something to say. If you want to be on next week's show, please email me your email address so we can add you in, so you can come live with us and you can talk, express your feelings on this R. Kelly issue. This is a trend, and we're going to trend this on out all the way until we get to our last series episode, will be part 3. And the part 3 will be the final thing on how we feel about this here and what we really think is going to happen with R. Kelly. Again, I'm gonna let you know, Dorothy Hart, which is a real good friend of mine, she said, I don't do his music. She said, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But she did say this here. I'm still gonna be stepping in the name of love. Regardless of whatever is going on, she's still gonna be stepping in the name of love. Dusty King says, what the F
Well,
is wrong with
well,
black women?
let me interrupt you for a second, Angelique. I
Uh-huh.
feel like Robert Kelly and R. Kelly, I just feel like they're two different people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying to separate the artist from the actual person because he does have a lot of talent, and there
Bingo.
was a few songs that I did like, and I probably still would listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
because to me it's two totally different people.
Right.
So I'm just being honest.
Now, I didn't really go into studying psychology, but I can say this here. I don't care what anybody say. You know how they say we all have bipolar. We all
Oh
have.
yeah.
I think that every single body on this earth that was born has different characters. When you go to work, you have to act a certain way. When you go to church, you act a certain way. When you go out hanging out with your girlfriends, you act a certain way. When you go hang out with your family, you act a certain way. When you're with the elders in your family, you act a certain way because you know they ain't gonna have it. When you sitting down and you having a casual conversation, you act a certain way. Well, guess what? I think that every single body on this earth that was born got multi personality. Ain't just one, but multi. Give me some hearts on
Well, we
that.
all we all have we all as human beings have our own inner demons.
Right.
His is preying on
Inner
young
demon.
women. For somebody else, it might be drugs. For somebody else, they might be alcoholic.
Yes.
We all have our inner demons. So,
Yes.
no judgment in the sense of that,
Mm-hmm.
because but I do feel like he needs help. He does need to take accountability as well as everybody else. We all have to have some accountability for
Mm-hmm.
things that we do in life. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna listen to some of his music because like I said, the artist is totally different person from that him, his who he was as a person. It's two different people in my head.
Right.
So I'm still gonna listen to some of his songs. Some of his songs I like. And then when it comes to him, he needs help. He
Yes,
needs
he does.
help.
He does need help.
This needs to be addressed. People that get molested, that's something that needs to be addressed. They
Yes.
need help. Maybe if he had got help, maybe his life wouldn't have went in the direction that it went. He didn't get help for that.
Do you
So
think it
what
was
he
a
did was
God complex?
he repeated according to his brother, he repeated what was done to him.
But
And
so do
people
you
around
think
him
that it
saw
was
it and they didn't do nothing about it.
okay? But do you think he just hate women? I mean, why would you? Now we don't have the actual. We really don't have the actual medical papers right with us. But I'm gonna try to find those medical papers that says that he has herpes. But there is a girl right now who is literally suing him for transmitting him or her with herpes. And now this is 2017 and 18. So, she met him in 2017 and then in 2018. Now all
Well,
of a sudden,
I'm gonna say something about. Let me interrupt you. I'm gonna say something about that, and people might get mad, but this is the truth.
okay,
You have to be responsible for your own health.
exactly.
That's you have to be responsible for that.
Mm,
So it's too many methods out here to protect yourself from sexually transmitted disease. You can't rely on people to tell you that they have a sexually transmitted disease. So
mm,
again, it's accountability. If I go sleep with somebody without a condom, I can't put all the blame on them because people are not going to tell you. What about what happened to you protecting yourself? So we
yeah,
know the best way to protect yourself from any and all STDs is to use a condom. And I even got the female condoms. You can't even say the male they got female condoms out here. So you
yeah,
have to take some accountability.
uh-huh.
That all this ties down to being accountable. Everything can't be blamed. Everything can't be on him.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
not.
Everything cannot be blamed on him, and that's
Whoever this is suing him, why didn't you make him? Why did you decide to sleep with him and not
after
have a
all
condom on?
that. Yes, why would you still try to go be with somebody that you know that was in the past? I don't think she's gonna win her case, but then again, you know what I'm saying, she may win just on the fact that he did slide her a
I mean,
disease.
but if you catch herpes, that's because you decide to trust the person, thinking that they didn't have nothing, or you didn't think about it. So you made your bed, you got lying. And when it comes to that part,
Mhm.
which is something that could have been preventable, because it's too much information, there's too many resources out here to learn about how to protect yourself and have safe sex. So
Yeah.
that right there, I think, is a losing battle on her end.
Okay. 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 Well, don't worry.
Unless I will make an exception, unless she was a 12 or 13-year old and just got manipulated and brainwashed or whatever. You a grown woman, you 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Clearly, you know about protecting yourself
Yeah.
when you're having sex with somebody.
Yes.
So again,
Yes.
like I can't stress this enough. Accountability is the issue in a lot of communities. People do not want to take accountability for their actions. The first thing they want to do is point the finger at somebody else.
Yes.
What was your participation in this? What did you
Yes.
do? What
Yes.
could you have done?
What
Same
could
thing
you
with the
have done?
parents. Same thing with the parents. Why did you allow this? You
Mm-hmm.
got kids raising kids. And then
Mm-hmm.
you got the parents that work all day, that wasn't home to monitor their kids. I got kids. I
Mm-hmm.
think about that when they get, you can't watch kids 24/7. All
No,
you
you.
can do is instill in them values and morals and try to, teach them right. Pray to God they listen to you, but they might not always do that. But I mean, these are the things that we need to address. What can we do to protect our children? What do we need to do when raising our children?
Uh-huh.
Is broken homes a part of the problem?
Mm.
Single families only having a mother there, and a lot of this is bigger than Art Kelly. This is a whole bigger picture than that.
Yes.
He's just a small entity of what the problem is in the
Illuminati.
in our community.
Illuminati is big. So okay. So with.
Fatherless, fatherless children, daughters that don't have a father in their life.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You got to dig deep. Let's get down to the root of this.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
All of this
Exactly. The
has
roots. The
I'm
roots.
gonna tell
Yes.
you something I noticed. I'm gonna tell you something I noticed. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna tell you something I noticed. Even in that last segment when you had the parent, the mother out there, you didn't see no. Where was the fathers at? It should have been fathers knocking on that damn door. Where the hell is my daughter? Get my
Yes.
daughter. You didn't see that.
Hmm.
That's the problem.
I think the Savages was the ones who had, and Carly's, I think, were the ones that actually had the fathers. The only two was out there with their
And the
kids.
rest of them don't. But that's what I'm saying, Angelique. That is, in my opinion, that's the problem. I'm gonna be transparent for a second. I got a couple of kids. Me and their father not together, but he is very, very present and active in their life, and I thank God for that. Because
Mm.
I think whether you have sons or I got two boys, I got boys. I don't have daughters, but
Right.
whether it's sons or daughters, when they don't have both parents and you don't have both parents being a parent, these are the issues that you run to that you run into later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
When the peers become a stronger influence over them than the parents.
Mm-hmm.
And this has a lot to do with these girls. They got victimized. Maybe if the father was there, because the woman can't get herself pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
A man got some participation in that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
if the fathers were present, maybe they could instill something, in them that would have taught them, hey, you don't lay down with no grown man, or you
Mm-hmm.
don't do this, or you don't, a lot of this goes back to fathers not being a father to their daughters. And
Mm-hmm.
this is why a lot of this does have a lot to do with a lot of women that grow up that have low self-esteem,
Oh,
that
so.
end up falling into bad relationships, stay in
Mm-hmm.
abusive relationships because they didn't have that grounding and that foundation in life growing up from a father figure. And
Mm-hmm.
it's sad to say, but that's the truth. And this is, like I said, this is bigger than him. This is
Yeah.
just one person. And the only reason it's big is because he's an artist, but it's a whole bunch of Robert Kellys. He ain't the
Mm-hmm.
only one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the focus don't need to be so much on him. It needs to be what can we do as a community? What do we need to do to protect our daughters and our sons? Because
Mm-hmm.
boys, look at him. Him and his brother got molested by their sister. So
Yes.
it ain't just the girls getting molested, the boys are getting molested too.
Mm-hmm.
What? And I'm gonna tell you something else. She probably got. More than likely, she got molested
She
by
probably
somebody, a
got
family
molested.
member.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was
Kids are
thinking.
not born
Been
with
molested.
the
Mm-hmm.
with the idea of molesting somebody when they get older.
Mm.
Something was done to her as well. So
Yes.
we have to follow the pathology in that. It's
Right.
a sickening pathology, and that's something that needs to be addressed. It's
Right.
not about bashing Robert Kelly and he need to be sentenced to death and thrown in jail. No, we need to look at why is this prevalent in the Black community. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
only saying the Black community because I'm Black. I don't know what goes on in the white community, but I'm pretty
Right.
sure this is something that's
Well,
rampant all across the board. But we're just saying for the Black community, why is this something that's prevalent? What can we do
yeah.
about this?
That's true because they did mention about somebody named Steinhardt or Harvey something Harvey
Exactly.
Weinstein. Why wasn't he convicted of what he was doing? And they said, well, they were saying that they were more worried about Bill Cosby and him than they were really R. Kelly. But the fact is that because they were messing around with adult women, but R. Kelly was messing around with
Around
young
with
children.
minors. That's that.
Yeah,
And see,
that is a major difference.
people are more sensitive when it comes to minors.
Yeah,
If he goes to jail, they probably gonna isolate him because he probably gonna get killed. You don't mess with babies and minors. That's a jail code. You know what I'm saying? So he probably, if he ever goes to jail, he ain't gonna be with general population because they
mm-hmm,
gonna kill him.
mm-hmm,
But I'm saying the answer to this is not so much as to execute him and crucify him, but it has to go deeper. This is something that's prevalent in the community. What are we doing wrong as parents, as a village? And
mm-hmm.
it needs to be. We need to stop turning our heads,
Yeah,
not saying nothing. We need to be closer to our children. Stop
called
being a friend to
mandating
our kids,
courtesy.
but
Mm-hmm,
be a mother.
mm-hmm,
Instill discipline, instruction, all of that. And then most importantly, get support. A lot of parents, single parent women are single parents and they don't have the support. A woman just can't do it all. They
right.
just can't.
They
I,
can.
I'm a woman. I got kids.
Well,
I got
through
two
God
boys.
we can.
It's too much. It's too
Yes,
much to
yes,
handle all of that on my own. You
yes,
need support. And people
yes,
don't have the support that they need.
right.
And that's the sad part.
It is.
That's what's missing in our community
Yes.
is the support
The
system.
support system. And that's why I used to love the support system is not really there like it used to be
No.
when we were growing up. Okay,
The
although
big
my mother,
mamas and
my
great
father,
great
yeah,
grandmamas,
and
that generation is
the
gone.
mamas,
You know,
yes,
my
they
my
all gone.
my
And
mother, my mother was 80 when she died. She been gone 10 years. Ain't no more people like her around. That's when
right,
you watch the neighborhood
the
kids and
neighborhood kids, and was
discipline them
found,
and
and was
wasn't no
found.
backlash and
Yes,
no nobody people don't want to be bothered with nobody now. People turn their
right,
head, they mind their
right,
own business. But see,
right.
when it hits home, it's a whole different story.
It is a whole different story. And that's with everything that goes on, whether someone gets
Everything.
murdered or whatever the case may be. No one really want to get out there and fight until pretty much it hits home. It's time to start getting
Exactly.
out there and fighting now before it hits your home.
Don't
The
wait to say
prevention
hit home.
it hits
Don't wait till
your
something
home.
happen, till
Right,
somebody knock on your doorstep for you to
right,
want to do something about it. Be
exactly.
supportive of people. We
Yes,
all we the same people. We all
right,
come from the same God. We all got the same blood. We're all the same species. And
right.
that's the problem. People don't want to help nobody. And
Okay.
like I said, maybe if he had got, because I'm pretty sure he shared with somebody that he got molested. Maybe if
Yes,
that had been addressed, he wouldn't have went that way.
that's right.
People don't nobody wants to help, nobody want to talk about nothing. Everybody want to turn their head, and this is why this sickening pathology still is prevalent in the Black community. It's in it's in a lot of people's families. People are just not saying nothing.
That is true. That
But
is,
like I said in the beginning, your sins will catch up with you one day.
yes,
So while people talking about why it's 30 years later, because it may be harvest time for him. And
that's
it's not
right.
no judgment, but what you plant is what you harvest.
Right, that's right, that's right. Now I want to acknowledge Debbie Ingram and Imani and Jacqueline Shelton. I want to acknowledge Shamika and Sonia Singh. I want to acknowledge Shakima, which is my niece. I want to acknowledge Erica, Carla Watts, and Chardonnay. I did read some of your actual posts. We were reading and commenting on your posts, and then I want to acknowledge Sheila, my auntie, for coming in and tuning in with us tonight. I am your host, the Forever True TV, the Free Spirit Kage, with also another show with Sleep Sisters Live. But tonight we are on the Forever True TV side, which is on YouTube. We are live with a couple of the women.
Oh, wait. Angelique, let me interrupt you for a second. Kenya
Kenya.
Kenya Murray says both families that had two-parent households that were on the documentary both handed their young daughters over. Both wanted singing careers for the girls. I agree with that.
I agree
I
with that.
do feel like I do feel like the ones that handed their daughter over, they did see an opportunity and they decided to take that opportunity to see if their daughter could get a career. And
Uh-huh.
that goes back to money and power. People,
Yes.
you hate to say it, but people did sacrifice their kids
Mm-hmm.
to try to get big. Here it is, this big guy, this big singer. If I can get my daughter on, hey, we could take off. So yeah, I agree with Kenya Murray on that.
Yes, I do agree. Now, Destiny, Dorothy Hart says, Destiny King, I understand your point. You are correct. R. Kelly is not God, neither are you, nor I. Furthermore, if all his music could not be played by radio, streaming sites, club DJs, or whatever, I'm so glad I never jumped on the digital download bandwagon. And I have a collection of tangible discs that can be played in the comfort of my own personal space. And yes, the world will continue to spin, which is true. The world will continue to spin. Now, who is willing to really stop his music, get his music off? Someone said if they can't hurt him in the jail by putting him in the jailhouse, maybe we can hurt him by hurting his pockets. Well, I'm gonna tell you now, just like I responded back to when they said that, if you hurt R. Kelly's pockets, you hurting also the Illuminati's pockets. And if you hurting the Illuminati's pockets, then it's time for R. Kelly to go. It's gonna be our time for R. Kelly to go. He's gonna be
But why
living.
do we? But let me interrupt here. Why do we have to hurt? I mean, why do we have to go in that direction? You
Well,
know,
we're referring
I
to
don't.
hurting
That's
the
what I don't
pocket.
agree with.
Yeah,
Hurting him is not going
to make it
to
better.
make it better.
Two
It's
wrongs
just,
don't make
it's
a right.
not.
Two wrongs don't make a right. I
What are
totally
we? What are
agree.
we gonna get out of that? The victims are still gonna. The ones that was affected by him, you know, they're still gonna be hurt. Hurting him. How is that gonna help him? How is that going? I don't agree with that.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
agree
they're
with
saying by
hurting
because they
somebody is
don't
not the
want.
answer. It's
Okay,
just
so
not the
when they
answer.
say hurting him, they're not saying hurting him physically.
I mean, pulling his music off the shelves or whatever.
Right.
What is that gonna? That is not gonna solve the situation at hand, which
Well, they
is.
actually stop. It would actually stop providing the funding for him to still be a pedophile, considered a pedophile. Now, remind you, this is all opinionated.
But let me just say this here. Let me say this, and I said the same thing about Bill Cosby. I'm gonna say this here. Now, Bill Cosby is in jail for I don't know how many years, 8 or 9 years or whatever, and he's been accused of drugging all these women. Blah 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 blah. One thing they cannot take away is what Bill Cosby contributed to society, which was all the stuff that he did about education, how I
Mhm.
learned it. They can't take that away
No.
because he did contribute a lot to society. So they can't take that away. And people still gonna always remember Bill Cosby as being that person, not that person that drug and took advantage of all those women. Same thing with R. Kelly. Okay, R. Kelly is this pedophile, whatever. But R. Kelly also made great music. One of my favorite ballad songs that he made was the remix of Sade. I like that song. It reminds me
I
of my
love
mother.
Sage.
And that
It's
song, he
not
talks
Sage,
about his
it's
own mother.
Sadie. It's not Sage, it's called Sadie.
Sadie. Okay. Thank you
Sadie.
for the correction. But what I'm
Love,
saying is,
love, love,
when I
love,
listen to
sweet
that, it
Sadie.
reminds me of my mother because my mother is deceased. So the
Yes,
thing is that even if they pull his music, it's just some stuff that people are not gonna ever forget. Some
right.
songs, people have memories attached to some of these songs. So
Hmm.
you can't take away what he has done in the music world. That's
Hmm.
never gonna go away. You can
Hmm.
pull his music off the shelves and people still gonna listen to it. You
Yeah.
can't take away somebody's talent because the man
No,
is
you can't
talented
take
and
away the
gifted.
talent. You
He
can't take
is
away the talent.
talented and gifted.
Hmm.
That's why I said that when I look at that, I separate the artist from the actual person and what he did.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But everybody is not gonna think like that. But that's how I'm thinking. So yeah, they can pull his music off the shelves and all this kind of stuff. What collection I have, I'm still gonna listen to it because when I listen to it, I'm not. My mind is not going to the pedophile. My mind is going to wow, this man make really wonderful music. He has a beautiful voice. He was talented. I could relate to some of these songs. That's how I'm thinking. And the other half of me is gonna pray for the
Yeah.
Robert Kelly that he gets some type of intervention in his life and get some healing from what he's done. But most importantly, one day take accountability for the many uh families that he destroyed.
Okay, so let me just say this. Okay, now I understand what you're saying. Okay, peep this out. For you guys who don't know, I really forgot all about the Jonestown massacre that had happened years ago with Jim Jones and El Respect. Well, I had the privilege to actually go to the revealing of the wall, and also to be able to speak and stand next to Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. the third. It was an honor to be able to do this. Now, this is where I'm going to say this here. The part where, you know, stripping away their um, their uh, um, their accolades, meaning that they should not be able to be continue to be honored. So we'll just go with Jim Jones. Why should we honor him after he killed so many lives? He influenced so many 900 lives to be taken, through cyanide, Kool-Aid. Why should he continue to be uh, uh, represented or more or less um, put on a pedestal where his tail, all his accolades, everything that he done should be stripped away from him. And that's what right now people are fighting for right now. There is a lady that I care not to mention, but she did speak to me about us doing a policy where we're going to strip those people who have had major accolades that are very well known in the society, even those that have helped with the society, although they have done good, but it should be stripped away. Meaning their awards, everything should be stripped away from
But
them.
here, but
They
here's
did,
the,
they
but
did,
here's the,
but they did O.J. Simpson like that. Well, rather
but
they were
here,
stripping
but
it
here's
away.
the thing. Here's the thing, Angelique. The world could strip it away, but that doesn't mean that it's stripped away from the fans. And I'm gonna say it again. They could pull his music from the shelves because in my
Right,
head, those are two different people. You can't
right,
take
right,
away somebody's talent. Same thing with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby could look at as this, man that drug women and had sex. I don't know if he did or not because I wasn't there. We
right.
could just go off what the people
I
that
wasn't
came
there.
forward. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that what he
Thank you for
contributed to
dropping in,
society,
Dorothy.
it affected my life. It had an
Yeah.
impact when that man talked about high learning and going to college and this, that, and other. Those are things that are gonna stay with people forever. They can't
Hmm.
take that away. They could pull up that Hollywood star off the ground, but they can't take away what he influenced on the minds of the poor and oppressed as to
Right,
get an education, do this, do
right.
that. They ain't gonna never take that away. And he might die in jail, he might not, but they're never gonna take that away. I'm always gonna be a fan of Bill Cosby and a Cosby show, what he contributed to life, all of that.
I like my Albert, Fat Albert. I do. I love my Fat Albert.
You understand what I'm saying? But and the only difference is we're looking at a music artist. We're not gonna say, yeah, R. Kelly, R. Kelly did something positive. Yeah, he did this, that, and the other. I mean, like I said, he filmed a couple of his videos here in Chicago. He went to the projects, Gotham City. That was a remix that I liked. And he talked about the poor people in the project, this, that, and the other. But and a lot of his songs was of sexual content, but he also did have uplifting songs, happy songs, stepping songs. I mean, he was like a musical genius for somebody that couldn't read or write. But what I'm saying is, you can't take away what somebody has contributed to the music industry.
He got a long ways for somebody that couldn't read or write. He got a long ways.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, they could pull his music, but they can't snatch back what he's contributed to the music industry, because a lot of memories and things are attached to that. People had kids on some of them songs, all kinds of stuff before any of this stuff even came out. You can't take away or erase what somebody has imprinted. You just can't do that. So even if he goes to jail, whatever, I'm still gonna like the song about his mother. I'm still gonna relate to that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay,
but that doesn't mean, Angelique, that does not mean that I condone what he did, because I don't. And the way I look at it, they are two separate people. The artist is different from, who he really was in life, which was somebody that preyed on young girls.
I agree. I agree. So in general, she's saying separated. The Robert side of him needs to take his tail and get some help. The other side of him, which is the artist side, that was the gifted side. But at the same time, it's still all entwined to me. It's all one person. But again, remember I said,
because Angelique, it's like he was a different person when he made that music. In my head, and I'm just, this is probably silly for me to say this, but in my head, I'm not thinking he's molesting somebody when he's making I Believe I Can Fly. I think his life, I'm just...
Y'all give us some hearts on that one, though. Y'all got to give us some hearts on that one.
I'm just saying, I just feel like the man expressed a lot of what he felt through his music. All those sexual songs with his sexual fantasies, as sick as they was, with 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old women, those is what he fantasized about. And I think the other part of him, had dreams and aspirations of being able to do more in life or being a better person. He had his own demons. And it's not an excuse. It's the truth. So yes, I'm listening to I Believe I Can Fly, because I want to believe that I can fly. I'm listening to that. I'm gonna listen to Sadie. I'm gonna listen. Some of the songs I'm gonna still listen to, because I just believe that was the good side of Robert. That was R. Kelly, and Robert Kelly was the demons. His other part where he was fighting his demons. I'm never gonna believe that he was having sex with somebody when he was making those songs. Some of them songs, I'm not gonna believe that, and that's just my opinion.
Kenya Murray, she says they are fighting to mute the music because the statute of limitations has been exhausted, and the one video that could have jailed him, the parents and the 14-year-old wouldn't state that was her, so he will never serve time. The music is the only thing Me Too movement and Lifetime can attack and try to take down. So that's probably why they're saying that they want.
Well, they can still send a jail if somebody else comes forward and they able to prove or whatever. They can still try to send him to jail. It might be far-fetched, but people are still gonna listen to his music.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like whatever. If he had a chance to go into jail, it was years ago when that tape came out. And he paid them people off. They ain't gonna never come forward. If they do it, the hell will freeze over. They ain't gonna never come. Now, if they do it, be when he dead. He had to be dead and gone. If they ever come forward and say, yes, that was her in that video. But while he alive, they not gonna do that because he done paid them already.
Right, call a gag order.
Exactly.
So okay, so the video. I'm gonna be trying. Like I said, I didn't know anything about the videos. I just found out about the videos only because I was been watching this documentary. I said, let me go online and look. Now, I'm sorry, but this is something that I had to go and look at, and just so I can see for myself because I didn't believe it. I was like, no, I can't believe this here is going on. And I said I needed to see this for myself. But I don't know if you guys can see this here. But do you honestly think that this is him? Is this really him? I just want to know. I'm sorry, but this is a sexual act. Do you guys honestly think that that's really him handling his business like that? I want to honestly know. This I had to go and check it out for myself. So I'm sorry, but this is a nudity thing. But I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I wanted to know if that was really him because I couldn't believe it. And you can hear somebody on here screaming out his name. You literally can hear somebody screaming out his name, and he's trying to say what? He goes and says what? And then he says, he's like, okay, or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, is this really him doing this? I mean,
That was him. It's just that it
is
wasn't
this
supposed to get
really him?
out.
Is
That
that
tape
really
was
him?
not supposed to get out. That's him.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know
The
what was
question
he doing.
is, who is that girl and how
Who
old
was
is
the
that
girl? Because you
girl?
can't see the girl and you don't know how old the girl is. And I couldn't believe it. I said, Lord have mercy, because again, I didn't know that there was a video out. Again, when he was out, I was just listening to his music. I was listening to Alea's music. I didn't know anything about how old she really was because I was just listening to the music, young and energetic and enjoying myself. But when I saw this here video, I said he's sick. And it's not that he's sick, but why would you record? I mean, everybody may have their own reasons why they go and they record stuff. That's on them. But I just want to know. I mean, even the room, you could see the floor and you could see the room from even what they showed on the actual documentary. I saw the room, and it's sickening. It's really sickening to see all that. So anyway, and we can't say all sickening because it's just the fact that it got out, because I'm quite sure everybody has their own fantasy and sexual acts. That's your business, what you do, but to do it with minors that's why it's become a sickening issue. So we don't know how old that the girl is and who it is that he's actually having sex, because I can't really see her face. And I'm not trying to really go there to the end. But now, Kenya says, no, that's not the correct video. Thank you so much for joining in, Miss Sade, today on Facebook. It says the real one is in a cabin. You will see a young lady with that old school shirt in front long, in the back do. And then she says it's very grainy due to quality the back then. Then there was one where he was just sitting there, having, and she's doing oral sex on him, and he got his hands crossed like this and standing there and playing with her head. And like I said, it is whatever your preference is in your own bedroom, in the own comfort of your home with you and your mate, or you and your husband, or whatever you choose to be with. But for it to get out in the public shows something. It shows something. And it not only does it show what he's about behind the scenes, because like you said, he wasn't making music at the time that he was doing this here. He was doing this here while he enjoying himself. He was, but again, there was a bed in the middle of the studio. Come on, so what? He was having his sex, and then he caught an idea to say, step in the name of love, or we're gonna, what's the one it called? You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what it's called, but his music type, some of the songs that he's singing, like the one where he busting homegirl in the bedroom. And what was that? Was that with Kelly Price or somebody? Or was that with Sparkles? 2 years ago, we didn't know we had a friend. Wait a minute. So with that being said, we're gonna have to continue this here. We have been on long enough. We was only supposed to be on for an hour, and we have actually pushed it because we've had some real good topics to talk about. People commenting and saying some things, and we really truly want to get that. Kenya, if you can find those videos, please shoot me an email, inbox me, so we can go ahead and use those on our next part 2. Will be next week. We'll go ahead and schedule with our viewers and those that are on the panel to see if they will go ahead and work with us. And this week, again, like I said, there's 3 of us that pretty much really run with Forever True TV, have been really true to Forever True TV, but we would like to see other men or women to get on the panel and come and just talk live and just express how they feel.
I would like to hear some men's point of view. That would be
I really want to hear some men's point of view. Ronald Baskerville had joined us a little while ago. I don't know if he's still on, but maybe he can come back with us next week or and talk about it. Maybe John Mackey, Rodney Mitchell came on. Maybe he can. Jermaine Williams came on. So maybe these people that are here can actually come in. Again, I want to give shout outs and thanks to Terrell Whitaker, to Jessica, who came on tonight, Angelique Page, Candace Williams, Miles Muhammad, Angel Hernandez, Anika, Denise, Vicky, Patrice. I want to give shout outs to Rodney Mitchell, Jermaine, Debbie, Imani, Jacqueline, Shamika, Sonia, my niece, Shakima, Erica, Carla, Chardonnay, Sheila. I just want to give all those good shout outs. Dorothy, Ronald Baskerville, Sade Collins. I want to give shout outs to all of you guys who came on to Facebook tonight and worked with us, and all those who were on YouTube tonight. Concepcion, I want to give shout out to them. I just want to make sure that all of my people are getting their shout outs who actually hung out with us tonight. Damaris, D Slick, I want to say, yes, we're back on again, D Slick. He says, oh my God, you're on. She says, I miss you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. I haven't seen you in forever. Well, guess what? You're going to see us now. We still been looking at the Kikanika Jenkins case. We are also still looking into the two other cases that are still out there trending. Again, we will do this with Forever True TV. Any other thing else, you have to move over to the Sleep Sisters Live page. And that is when we do our cooking, our dancing, our hip hop movements, and all of the great things of empowerment with our Sleep Sisters Live. But any other things like this drama and L Respect, we move over to Forever True TV because that's where it's all at on YouTube. So if you guys want to get there, please make sure that you come over to Forever True TV on YouTube, like the video that we did our live on tonight. Give us some hearts and some kudos that you guys know that, because then I will continue to come back. Again, I want to do another last shout out. My girl Jacqueline, she's my little sis, Jacqueline Shelton. She will be having her release party on January 26th at the Hayward City Hall. If you guys want to come out, show some love to her. She's an awesome woman. She has a real big testimony. She used to be in the, she used to also speak to women and talk to women, empower women in L Respect. She's been in management. She's had her own band and the whole 9 yards. She's an OG from the city, and we just love her. And I just want to give that shout out to her. Because I love her very much, and I'm glad that she's a part of my life. Another person I want to give a shout out to is to my girl Jessie and my other girl Sadie. And I know I didn't say their names correct, but that is a reason why I didn't say them correctly. But just know that I give them mad love, and I do appreciate their time. I know that they're, single moms and they're out there. And those that are out there is help. You can get help. And if you know somebody that is being abused, please call the hotline. Feel free to call me and report to me. I'll make some phone calls. 844-974-7837. Just give us a holler. We also go out and we care for the people. We go out and do the homeless. These are things I just want to shout out and let you guys know real quickly. Again, if you guys want to be on the panel for next week and talk live with us, feel free to shoot me your email address, or you can email me at forevertruetv@gmail.com, and we'll get you set up for next week so you can go ahead and speak what you got to say. Eric Strong, Bernice, Faye Smith, thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry that you caught us at the end. Feel free to go back and look at the actual footage, and you can also go to YouTube and find it on there. With that being said, we are going to say goodnight, but guess what? I'm going to say goodnight in another way. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must say good night, good night. Love you guys. You guys have a wonderful and blessed evening.